Hello, and welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where we know that if you have a creepy cabin somewhere on your property and you decide to tear that thing down, it's best not to take the windows out of that property and use them into your own home. Something we've found out. So today we are going to take a look at the Message Blast system. So basically this is the email blast and mail merge stuff that existed in DeltaNET 5, but in DeltaNET 6 we've added some additional functionality to it and just built it to do some more things. And those things are only available in DeltaNET 6. So in order to get to the email blast system or the message blast system, what we're going to do is go to either marketing. I can go ahead and expand marketing here and go down to message blasts and mail merge. Or I can just type blast up here in the quick actions. And I can also select marketing, message blast, and mail merge or email blast. Any one of those ways will get me to it. Now, you may also have tiles on your marketing landing page. So if you click on marketing, you have all your tiles here. You may have like a manage email blasts tile here that will also take you to the same place. But the tiles are customizable per company. So you may or may not have that link. So what we'll do is go over here and we've got marketing expanded, and I'm going to click on message blast and mail merge. And that takes us to our message blast system. So what this does is it has the same email blast system that existed in DeltaNET 5, and we've made some updates to it, but for the most part it's the same thing, and the same mail merge system that was in DeltaNET 5. But we have also added a SMS Blast feature that allows you to send mass text messages from here if you have a virtual phone number set up. And last week's Tech Tuesday went over the details of how to set up a virtual phone number. So first off, when we go here, we are going to land on the email blast system by default. So as you scroll down, it says email blast right here. And like I said, this is mostly exactly the same as it is in DeltaNET 5. So at the top we have our drafts and templates section. So if you've saved any messages as drafts, they'll show up here. If you've saved any templates, they'll show up here. These are shown as system templates. These are the ones that we at Delta have created and put in the system for you to use. Or your company may have made some templates that could show up here as well. In this section, you would just see 5 results by default, but if you want to see more templates, you can expand that, and you can see it'll show me more, if there are more. And then you can also search for these. So if I wanted ones that are related to open houses, so I can just type in open, and we've got 6 tips for attending your first open house, and selling your home 6 tips for holding a successful open house. Let's go with that one. I like the sound of that one. So to use it, I can just click on actions, and then I can go down here. Now I could duplicate it if I wanted to. That would allow me to create my own version of it. So I could duplicate it and use the duplicate. That would populate it down here, where then I could make changes to it and then resave it. And because it's saved as a duplicate, I'll have my own version of this email. And that's why you have to save it as a duplicate first. You can't save changes to these because these are system-created templates that are available to everyone. So you'd have to create a duplicate before you made your own customizations to it if you wanted to. If you wanted to save the customizations, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Actions, click on Use. We'll have it populate down there. And you can see it moved the window down a little bit for me. Now in the Email Blast section here, we have the ability to set the send date on this. The only caution here is that if you are setting one to go out sometime in the future, and you set that email to go to a group of customers, what it will do is when it sends, so let's say I tell it to send out a month from now, so we'll set this to August 13th, why not? And I'll put a group in here, and you can see as I type in a group name, this will narrow down to groups with matching names. Now what it'll do is when it sends a month from now, it'll send to the people who are in this group today, the day that I created this email. So if between now and then I were to add additional people to that group, they would not get the email. So that's why you want to be careful about setting these to go out in the future. You know, if you want to set one to go out this coming weekend, that's great. If you want to set it to go out for a holiday in a few months, that's probably not the best way to use it. So something to keep in mind there. Now the next thing we do is we add our recipients here. You can see I already added a group, but I can do the same thing with individuals. So if I type in a name, you can see it narrows down to people with a matching name. If I type in an email address, there we go. As I type in an email address, you can see that it will pick up accounts with a matching email address. Or, you can see this one is a test seller, so I'll go ahead and type that one in. Can't spell my own name. There we go. You can see that it picked up. This is the account with the matching email address. Now the next thing that's cool here, and functionality we recently added to it, is if I type in an email address that there is no matching account for, you can see it gives me the option of creating that account now. That way I don't have to go somewhere else or go to another page to create that account and then come back here and set them as a recipient. All I do is put in their email address. It tells me that I can add a new customer with that address, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It opens up the customer modal here, and you'll see that it already has the primary email that I typed in filled in. So I just fill in as much or as little as I want to, really. Typically, I would suggest you at least put in a first name and last name, but you can put in, the more information you have, the better. And then once you have all that filled in, you'll just go down here and click Save, and that'll create the new customer account, and then they'll already be set as a recipient on this email blast. So it's just designed to be a convenience and kind of a time saver there when it comes to setting these up. Now the next thing you can do is you can set recipients to be CC'd or BCC'd on these. There are certain kind of special circumstances where that would be useful, but keep in mind that mostly those aren't something you'll need to use. For example, if you were to set this to go to a group of 20 people, every person is not going to get an email that says it had 20 recipients. It's not going to have 20 email addresses in the to field. Everyone gets their own email that went just to them. So it's kind of like everyone's BCC'd anyway. So something to keep in mind. But if you do enter those, these fields work the same way. They have those same autocompleters built in. So the next thing you can do is set your subject line. You can see it filled in automatically because I chose from a template instead of building it from scratch. You can add some file attachments. We typically suggest small file attachments. You wouldn't want to send anything particularly large here, but you do have the ability to put in some file attachments. And to do that, I would just click on Add File Attachment, and it just brings up my file system viewer. And then I would just select the files and click Add, and it will put those in. And then the next, we have the WYSIWYG editor here. So this is just the HTML editor that allows me to actually build the content of the email. So because I chose from a template, you can see it's all filled in already, but I can make whatever modifications I choose here, or I can build something completely from scratch. It is a full editor, so I can customize this text a lot. I can change formatting quite a bit. I can put in images. I can even turn these images into links, so I can put links directly in the email. So I have a lot of options here, but this just is the standard functionality of the WYSIWYG editor and the same editor we use for the pages. So next, if I'm ready to go, I can just click on Send, and that would send my email out to all the recipients that I've set up. I can send a preview, which just allows me to send a preview to myself quickly. It's kind of another convenience feature. That way I don't have to set myself up as a customer and send it as like a one-off. I can just build the whole thing and then send the preview. Next, I have a New button. So if I click on New, that'll clear this out and start me with a new design. I can refresh this design if any changes were made to it. I'll go ahead and pull my template back up again. There we go. I can also save as a draft, or I can preview. Now, if I built this from scratch, I would be able to save as a template also. But because this template is one that is not accessible or not editable to me, then I can't save my edited template. But what I could do is go in here and make a few changes. Say I don't like that paragraph, so I'll get rid of that, and I'll save that as a draft. So now that one's saved. And then it would be up here in my list if I clear this out here. And I may need to refresh my page. No, I guess I don't. So there it is. And there's my draft all set up. So if I were to clear that out and I wanted to pull my draft back up, I can just go to Actions and click on Use. Now because this is mine, I have edit access to it. I can go down here and click Edit as well, or I can actually delete this draft. If I click on Edit, you can see it brings it up down here, and then I would save as draft again, and it'll overwrite my last one. Or again, because it is mine and I actually have the ability to edit that, I can go to Actions and I can go down here to Delete, and I can get rid of my draft. And there we go. It's all gone. There we go. And now you can see because I brought up one that I was editing that was actually mine, I have the option to save as template, which I didn't have before when I was using a system template. So there you go. So that is how you can set up an email blast and how you can send those out. Once you've sent out your email blasts, they'll show up down here in this history section. And from here, you can actually use the history button to see opened click-throughs, get all that kind of metrics based on this email. You'll see the actual email addresses of everyone you've sent it to. Like the other menu, you have the ability to show more results here per page. And then you can also search this. So if I were to type here, it would narrow these results down to just what I'm typing. In this case, I only have one, so there's not much to narrow down to. So if I type in something that doesn't match anything, I get nothing. So there we go. So we'll close that out. Now the other things that I can do here is I can click on Use if I want to reuse that email. So I would just click on Use and it'll populate up here. And then I can also click on Preview if I want to get a look at it. It'll just show it right here. And I can click on Resend, which basically does the same thing as Preview. However, it also loads up your last set of recipients. So that's really the only difference between Use and Preview. Use will load up the content with no recipients, and Resend, not Preview, Resend will load it up and also load the recipients up here so that I can just fire it off to the same group really easily. So there you have it. That is how you would set up an email blast. Now, and you'll notice that that's very close to DeltaNet 5 if you're familiar how it was in DeltaNet 5, just with a few extra features like the ability to add in just an email address and create a user from that. And I think some of the draft functionality we've just been continually enhancing there. So the next thing you can do is set up a mail merge. So I'm going to click on Mail Merge up here at the top. There we go. The page overall is very similar. You have all the same templates and all the same drafts up here. The editor is very similar, only you can choose portrait or landscape orientation. But the core of this, or the idea behind this system, is what you're going to do is set up a physical mailer here. And the reason that you would want to do it through this mail merge system is that you can have it use these system variables that are also available in the email blasts to automatically fill in with a customer's information. So if I go up here to 2 and I set up one of my groups here, there we go, so I have a group added in. We'll give it a subject line. And now go down here to our WYSIWYG editor. I can put in all of my content, just all of my static content, but then anywhere where I reach a point where I want to reference the customer directly, I can use these system variables. So I can say variable, I want to put customer full name up here at the top. This is my message. And just like the other one, I can add in, pictures and things like that, but keep in mind that this is built for print. So, things like links aren't going to transfer through, or if I embedded a video, that's not going to work for me because ultimately I'm going to print this out. But formatting and even photographs are things that you might want to put in here. And you can see all the different options you have here. So in the end, a nice handy thing to put in here is your lead signature. So what that does is it looks at your lead settings and pulls your signature that's set in your lead settings and uses that here so that you're not filling in the whole thing. So now what this is going to do is when I hit generate PDF, it's going to generate a multi-page PDF. There will be one page for each member of the group or each one of my recipients, essentially. And on each one of those pages, it will replace this customer name with that customer's actual name. So it allows you to create a PDF that has all the names and everything filled in automatically so that they're really personalized to each one of your recipients. Now, once you've generated that PDF, you can go up here and you can use this print label functionality to print out the mailing labels for the group that you added here. So I just hit print labels, and then I choose the label type I want, and I'll click on print, and that's going to open a new tab here. Now in this case that group didn't have any addresses. However, if they had mailing addresses, this would fill out with a print page that has all those mailing addresses on it so that I can print that out. So at that point I'll have a PDF I can print out that has all the names and everything filled in for me, and then I'll also have another page that prints out that has all their mailing addresses or mailing labels already all set up, so that all I have to do is stuff envelopes from there. So there you go. Now, by default, it'll be set to print in portrait, but you could also print everything out in landscape if the message or the email, not really the email, if the message you're creating or this message content is more conducive to a landscape than a portrait view. And then as we scroll down, just like the email blast system, we also have a history system that is going to keep track of all the ones that I've sent out through this so that I can pull them back up and use them later, or just pull up information on those. So it just keeps track of everything I've done. Now as we move back up, the last one, and the new thing that's added here is the SMS Blast system. So if I click on that, it works in much the same way, only in this case the templates don't make sense, so we took that section out because those templates aren't going to fit real well in a text message, though they work pretty well for print marketing or email marketing. You have kind of a limited amount of space in a text message, so it doesn't work quite as well there. But the rest of this works the same. So I'll set a send on date, and that'll be the date that this message goes out. I have the same kind of functionality with this to field, so I can select groups, I can select individuals, and then when I select them, They'll fill in here automatically, and then it'll also narrow down as I type. But in this case, the recipients that I add to this should be ones that have text messaging or have a cell number entered and also are allowing SMS messages, like they're not opted out of SMS messages. So once I have those set up, now if they are, it just won't send to them. So that's not something that you have to manage. You just have to enter them here, and then the system will take care of knowing whether or not they are opted in to receive those messages. Now after that, we put a subject here for our text message, and then we just enter our message content. My first message. This is my first text message. And there you have it. So after that, you click on Send. Now one thing you will notice about this is that there is a subject line, and you don't often see a subject line in a text message that you receive. So what that's actually for is a way to label these messages in the history. So instead of labeling them out with your your full text message content on every line, they'll be labeled out with the subject line. And then if you click on them or you click on the button to reuse them, that works the same way as the email blast and the mail merge system. It'll populate all that information back up here so that you can resend that either to the same or to different recipients. So there you have it. That is the Message Blast system. So now it comprises Email Blast, Mail Merge, and SMS Blast if you have a virtual phone number set up. And that is how you can send out bulk messaging to all of your clients at once, or any selection of your clients based on group differentiations, or just add it in individually. So there you have it. So as always, thanks a lot for joining me. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to send an email into support@deltagroup.com or give us a call and we will walk you through whatever you need. And I will see you next week. Thanks a lot.